School's out. It's time to fill up the family truckster. You remember that? Yeah.
Oh, I love that movie.
The family vacations are just about to pick up, and you're going to want to make sure your car is a safe ride. Here to educate us on disc brake pads and rotors is Cliff Hudson of Hudson'S Import Service, a Chevy Chase fan as well.
And when it comes to cars, you would have been a perfect Chevy Chase, just so you know.
Yeah, I don't have the family truckster, but I do know that I've had problems with brakes in the past, and usually I hear this grinding noise, and then I know it's too late, I'm in big trouble.
Well, first and foremost, the person who's servicing your car needs to be looking at your brakes. For instance, on every oil change we do at the shop, there's a courtesy check for two reasons. Number one, if they need them, we want them to know.
Right.
And number two, hey, why let it go somewhere else in town and wear out there and us miss the business? So,
and this is a huge safety problem too, Cliff. If you can't stop your car, you're in big trouble.
The single most important thing on a car. I tell people all the time, it doesn't matter if it skips or bucks or hesitates or whatever, but it has to stop. That's the most important thing. So yeah, you're right. We got some examples of brakes here.
I don't even know what I'm looking at here, Cliff.
Well, you're about to find out.
I know it's some sort of braking system.
Yeah, these are brakes, and it's your car, it's your money, it's your right to know. This is a brake pad. It's got a little squeal device here to alert you with this weird little squealing noise when it's wearing down and it gets low. But now this is just a real generic brand of brake pad, kind of a cheapie, what we call it. Now, this is the exact same brake for the exact same car, but notice the difference. This brake pad comes with a fiber-coated shim and a steel shim, and these fit on the back of the pad, and this is to prevent squeal.
Okay.
Because unfortunately, some of the cheapy brakes, if you're buying your brakes predicated on price alone, you're probably going to get some less expensive brakes. People come to us all the time and say, hey, I've had 3 brake jobs under this car and it still squeals. And we'll go look and notice that the pads don't have any of the squeal shims, don't have any of the protectant that they're supposed to have to prevent this from happening.
Now, Cliff, are brakes something that it depends on the driver, whether they've got a heavy foot on the brake? I mean,
most common question we are asked, Dave, how long are brakes going to last on my car? Well, that brake wear is determined by how often you mash the pedal and how long you hold it down while stopping.
Okay.
A friend of mine used to sell pharmaceuticals. He would put 150,000 miles in his car and the brakes would still look like new because
he was doing highway miles.
He got on the interstate, set the cruise control, and held the wheel for hours.
Exactly.
Another customer of ours used to deliver mail on a rural route. She wore out her brakes every single year. Every single year they were worn completely out. And here, if we can get our tight camera back, this is real quick.
What is that?
Don't know how much time we got. I always talk too long. But these are worn out brakes. This is what a brake pad looks like. Now you remember here, I had this nice thick one here. This is what a brake pad looks like, about 2 millimeters of wear left. This is what a brake pad looks like, about 1 millimeter of wear left. And this is what we're trying to prevent.
Hey, that's what you get from my car.
Right, this is how Dave messed up his rotors right here. This big old hunk of metal just scars the rotors all up.
Yeah.
And years ago, rotors were so big and so thick, we would resurface them. We'd grind down to a new surface and reuse them.
Yeah, and you'd kind of move them around the car, but you don't do that anymore,
Problem is, that's rotational weight. So the thicker you make a rotor when new, the harder it is to propel down the road, so it takes fuel economy and creates pollution. So now, rotors are much thinner than they used to be, and they've only got 1 or 2 millimeters of wear before they have to be discarded. So resurfacing the rotors, while once a common thing in the old days, is almost now unheard of.
Now, Cliff, if folks are getting ready to go on that family vacation, is this something you can check fairly easily?
Most cars with today's fancy alloy wheels with the great big fancy spokes and all the big openings, we can actually see the thickness of the pad through the wheel. Now that is not a complete brake inspection. And, and another misnomer, people think that when they have the brakes worked on, they've got all new fluid. Well, that's not the case.
Okay.
Fluid is changed as maintenance items, and fluid is hygroscopic. That means it absorbs moisture from the atmosphere.
Sounds about right.
Now, being a meteorologist, I know you know nothing about moisture in the atmosphere.
Especially in South Carolina, we have moisture in the atmosphere.
Exactly, but that's what causes the internal rusting and failure of brake components.
Okay.
The brake fluid gets contaminated with moisture, supposed to be changed about every 2 years, regardless of mileage.
So come to Cliff, get those brakes ready for the summer vacations. Cliff, how do we get a hold of you?
Right across the street, right beside the post office, 884-2573.
I feel like I'm a brake expert now.
Oh, and one thing we forgot to say.
Fire away.
That's the brakes.
We got to go. But don't you go away. If you've ever wanted to experience a Bob Hope USO show, today is your lucky day. We'll be right back with a spectacular performance.